From the First Warn Forecast Center, this is a live severe weather update.
Good evening, everyone. This is meteorologist Jacob Morse breaking into programming because we have a confirmed tornado in parts of Kidder County, right over the community of Steele and moving east along I-94 towards Dawson and Tappan. This is looking inside the storm on our velocity product. And you can see as I put a pause on this, that strong and tight rotation right over Steele, indicated by the bright greens and the bright reds right next to one another. That's the radar indicating that rotation at cloud level. And we have weather spotters confirming that this is a tornado on the ground. So if you are in the community of Steele, this tornado would be right over you right now. You want to be in an interior room away from windows at the lowest level. But you know it's cold when we're breaking records from over 100 years ago. These are going to be likely record cold high temperatures for today. Ben and I are here live in Mandan at the Starion Sports Complex, where Mandan will play Fargo Shanley later this evening. The band is practicing behind us. You and I were both involved in band during our high school days, and you get that excitement when it's football season, you get that school spirit to really come out, and it's that time of year when we can hit the gridiron.
When the horns are blaring, you know it's about to get fun.
Yeah, so this is an easy way to distinguish between some of these confusing winter precipitation types using some tasty treats. Freezing rain is that glaze of ice on surfaces like a glazed donut. Sleet is the ice pellets or sprinkles on a donut. And grapple is compacted snow pellets like Dippin' Dots. You can squeeze them, compact them, they fall apart. Whereas sleet is those transparent ice particles that usually bounce off of surfaces. Both can create some hazards in the wintertime. We've got the weather station here and the trusty weather pumpkin, and I touched it earlier. It is hot, so it's sunny, and it still feels like summer out here at Papa's Pumpkin Patch, even though the landscape looks like fall. And I'm joined by Corey Finneman, the family operator here at Papa's Pumpkin Patch. Corey, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for coming out.
A new pump station here at South Washington near Solheim Elementary is the focus of a project to ultimately remove more structures from the floodplain. Texas's Smokehouse Creek fire has now burned more than 1.2 million acres north of Amarillo, making it the second largest in United States history. Meanwhile, recent wildfires in southern and western Minnesota indicate that the lack of snow on the ground is leading to an earlier than usual fire season. Our first Arctic blast of the season has arrived, and it's not just frigid temperatures that we need to be aware of, but also dangerous wind chills that scientifically tell us how it feels. Yeah, Monica, we're seeing the river completely stagnant now with the ice really blocked up and coming up on both banks of the river. We're here at the Fox Island boat ramp where the parking lot is completely submerged with water. They have it blocked off to traffic. At Pioneer Park in Bismarck, I'm meteorologist Jacob Morse reporting for your news leader. No more days like what we had today where we topped out at 55 degrees in Bismarck. Our mild fall is coming to a screeching halt with rain, then transitioning to snow and very strong winds on the way over the next 48 hours. Already some light rain showers around northwest North Dakota, but you can see some moderate, more steady rain in the James and southern Red River valleys as the system is tracking right up into our region on schedule right now around Omaha, and this will come right up towards the Red River Valley with cold air interacting on the back side of this system. That's where that rain transitions to snow tonight and then into tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow evening, region-wide, we'll be seeing some snow, just snow showers in southern North Dakota, more moderate to heavy snow across the northern tier of the state. As this system stalls near Winnipeg, we'll still see very strong winds on the backside of the system. Wind gusts out of the northwest direction upwards of 40 to 55 miles per hour as the main area of accumulating snow shifts to eastern North Dakota. By Wednesday afternoon, we'll still see those windy conditions and blowing snow region-wide before the snow tapers off as the area of low pressure pushes east Wednesday evening and cold Canadian high pressure settles in for a pretty long period of time. So you can see that rain in eastern North Dakota, but some snow showers breaking out tonight and into tomorrow morning across the west and central, and then mostly north of I-94 for seeing accumulating snow during the midday hours tomorrow before some of that snow starts to overspread the entire state by Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. But again, the highest impacts will be across the northern tier of the state. Then some of that snow shifting east of Highway 83 by Wednesday morning. Some moderate to even pockets of heavy snow continuing towards the James and Red River valleys as the system winds down through the day on Wednesday, still with that very strong northwest wind driving in the coldest air we've seen so far this season. So the 2-inch plus snow potential is highest in north central and parts of northeastern North Dakota, zooming in to 4 inches plus. Medium potential in Minot towards Stanley and Kenmare, but a high potential of more than 4 inches of snow from Rugby to Belcourt and Bottineau, where the winter storm warning is in place. This is where we'll see the highest impacts, especially around the Turtle Mountains, where more than 6 inches of snow is a high likelihood over the next couple of days. So a sharp cutoff where practically no snow is expected in the southwest to more than 6 inches of snow in parts of north central North Dakota, and zooming in towards the Turtle Mountains region in particular, between 6 and 12 inches is possible. Around 2 to 4 inches in the Minot area is the current forecast. You can see those very strong wind gusts already by tomorrow morning. Here's a Tuesday afternoon snapshot with wind gusts between 50 and 55 miles per hour towards the southwest, but those winds will be region-wide as we go through Tuesday night and Wednesday, between 40 and 55 miles per hour, causing for some travel troubles with the blowing snow as it continues to come down even into Wednesday for some. So tonight, look for lows in the 20s and 30s as that cold air rushes in. Tomorrow, temperatures will be dropping, transitioning that rain into snow. Maybe a second system coming our way by next weekend. We'll have to watch that. That would be on Sunday with our second potential of seeing some wintry weather, but it's a wintry 7-day forecast as high temperatures will remain around 30 degrees and lows in the teens.
Get the ice scrapers handy.
Yes.
Well, I think the air conditioning will have to work overtime soon.
That's right, Alan. As we get into the weekend, a heat wave is possible. This is incredible by early to mid-May standards. We usually don't see our first 90s of the year until June, let alone multiple days in a row of 90s. North central North Dakota has the best chance of seeing 3 days of 90s in a row, and that would be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, before the pattern changes in a significant way for the middle and end of next week, with 60s returning and increasing rain potential by the middle of next week, specifically Wednesday into Thursday. I've highlighted the areas that have the best potential of seeing the most precipitation with this system. That's still about a week away, so there's a lot of details that still need to be ironed out. But we do know that the pattern will change middle of next week, and we'll have increasing shower and thunderstorm chances, most of which will be across the west, which is really good news because these areas are in the worst categories of drought. Lesser potential for significant rainfall amounts next Wednesday and Thursday to the south and east. For now, these isolated showers and storms moving through along a cold front this evening aren't producing a whole lot of moisture. A few hundredths to upwards of a tenth or two as they slide off to the southeast. Not everyone's seeing moisture this evening, and some of what you see on SkyTracker radar isn't even reaching the ground. It's evaporating before it has a chance to do so, and that's why there's that threat of some dry thunderstorms. But that potential is diminishing as we're now getting after sunset. So that cold front slides off to the east by tomorrow morning. We'll have high pressure in control tomorrow, leading to calmer weather, starting off in the 50s, and we'll have highs in the 70s. So tomorrow is a superb day of weather, in my opinion. A fantastic Friday to wrap up the work week with breezier conditions in the Red River Valley, lighter winds off towards the west. But then here is the heat behind this warm front that glides through on Saturday morning. Breezy conditions already on Saturday morning, winds out of the south, then south-southwest by the afternoon. Mostly sunny sky, 80s to the east, 90s to the west. Critical fire weather conditions are possible on Saturday and more likely on Sunday, especially in central and eastern North Dakota, where winds will be strongest. We could have some wind gusts topping 30 miles per hour with widespread 90s on Mother's Day. So tomorrow, not so much about the heat. It's more about the sunshine and the 70s, but then we'll look for those winds to increase into our Saturday. By the morning, gusting upwards of 30 miles per hour, and we could have some gusts around 30 to 35 miles per hour by the afternoon, especially across the northeast. So here's how the humidity plays out on Saturday. It drops like a rock into the afternoon hours with humidity percentages between 10 and 25%. With how dry and windy it will be, that creates the fire danger. Still on Sunday, the winds will be strong, especially in southeastern North Dakota, between 30 and 40 mile per hour wind gusts. So here's how the records stand for this upcoming weekend. Williston and Minot, you have the best chance of breaking records on Saturday, reaching 91 degrees is the current forecast, beating records of 90 degrees. For Sunday, Minot and Jamestown, best chance of breaking records. And then Minot, you could break records 3 days in a row. Bismarck, Dickinson, and Minot could break records on Monday with a final day of 90s before that pattern changes. Temperatures decrease pretty significantly back down to the 60s by next Thursday with those increasing rain showers.
All right, well, we'll enjoy what we have.
Yes.
While most people seek shelter during severe storms, storm chasers and some scientists try to get as close as possible to tornadoes for pictures and research. Jacob Morse explains.
On May 21st, while a violent EF4 tornado ripped through Greenfield, Iowa, a team of scientists positioned themselves within miles of the storm to collect valuable data with mobile radars and pods of instruments deployed as close to the twister's path as possible.
When you're trying to collect low-level wind data, when you're trying to get data really near the surface, that's the hardest data to get. You have to get really close to the tornado in order to do that.
The data they gathered marks only the third time scientists have calculated wind speeds that reached more than 300 miles per hour within a tornado.
We were able to record these wind speeds as it went through a town, as it did damage, which is a little bit of a rarity, especially for those type of wind speeds.
These new findings could help answer critical questions about tornado formation and structure, factors that cause tornadoes to intensify or break down, and how wind speeds in the air correspond to damage on the ground.
When they're done analyzing this data, they will actually be able to assess wind speeds and tornado behavior at each structure in town.
Chasing a tornado is like playing a board game against nature, as local storm chaser Shane Ornelas knows.
Every time you go out for a storm chase, the sky is going to show you something different. Even though you may think every storm, somebody might think it's the same. No, the characteristics, each storm has its own personality.
Ornelas and many other storm chasers provide valuable details about how the structure of storms is evolving to the NWS.
It's the biggest part of storm chasing to get that information out to the National Weather Service, either by picture or calling it in. I mean, they need to know what's going on at the ground so they can accurately warn people.
Storm chasers not only push their field forward with research, but also by empowering women to take part through initiatives like Girls Who Chase.
Finding different ways to share the message that this is absolutely something you can do if you have a passion for the skies and for severe weather. And there are plenty of ways to get involved.
For your news leader, I'm Jacob Morse. Historic wildfires severely impacted parts of North Dakota throughout October. Today we'll be looking back at what caused them and the impact they had. The majority of the fires broke out on Saturday, October 5th, when a powerful cold front produced 60 to near 80 mile per hour wind gusts with very dry air. The Bear Den fire prompted an evacuation for a small portion of the Fort Berthold Reservation and came close to the community of Mandaree. The fire, which was fully contained on October 20th, burned 13,500 acres. The Elkhorn fire burned about 10,300 acres across rugged terrain south of Watford City and was contained after 11 days. Williams County was the hardest hit, where there were two large fires that each traveled approximately 20 miles, crossing Highway 2 and burning almost 90,000 acres, especially impacting the communities of Ray and Tioga. Many other fires occurred across the state that first weekend of October, and as conditions remained dry, more popped up during the middle of the month. That included fires that burned more than 1,000 acres north of Bismarck near Double Ditch and an approximately 1,000-acre fire near Medora. A combination of many factors led to the extreme severity of all these wildfires. Here's meteorologist Chauncey Schultz to explain more.
The combination of a number of factors really led to the extreme severity of these wildfires back in October. A combination of long-term drought and we had a high wind event on top of that. That not only was a high wind event, but we had gusts exceeding 70 miles an hour, and very low relative humidity combined with all of that led to the extreme nature of this event. So we occasionally get high wind events in North Dakota every year, right? But to actually get them in combination with drought type conditions and with that really low relative humidity. The relative humidity back in that October day was actually down in the 20-25% range. It's rare to get relative humidity that low with winds that high in our part of the world, just by the nature of how the weather patterns usually set up that drive those high wind events. So it's really rare to actually get all of those conditions superimposed on top of each other, which is a good thing that doesn't happen very often, but obviously extremely unfortunate when it does. Fire season can be any time in North Dakota. If these conditions align, we've had very large fires going back a few years in January. We've had fires in July and August that are really large as well. We've certainly had past falls where we've had fire seasons as well, and a lot of it has to do with if we have moisture in that August-September timeframe. If we have moisture there, a lot of times with the fuels, the grasses will hold a little bit of that moisture until closer to we actually get snowfall. This particular fall, of course, we didn't have the moisture going in, and we had a protracted warm and dry fall. More opportunity to have these wind events on top of those dry, really drought-loaded type of fuels, which can lead to these sort of extreme conditions.
These fires likely are the worst in North Dakota's recorded history, with more than 110,000 acres being impacted. The only event that comes close happened 25 years ago.
The closest sort of analog that we would have is actually the Halloween 1999 wildfire outbreak, which had a lot of similarities to this one, including some really large fires in northeast Montana, western North Dakota that exceeded 20,000 acres and even greater than that. And that event also had high winds behind a cold front with relatively low relative humidity, and it also followed drought conditions. There was a lot of similarities. I think the difference maker between that event and this one that made this one even worse was that the winds were even a little bit higher. So back in Halloween 99, the wind speeds, the wind gusts were in that 60-65 mile an hour range, and this event, the wind gusts exceeded 70 miles an hour, and they stayed that high for a prolonged period of time. Looking back at some of the data, well, we could see that the Williston area, for example, really hadn't seen a half inch or more of precipitation in about 100 days leading up to that event. If we go back and look at the Halloween 1999 wildfire outbreak, very similar. It was around 100 days preceding that event where there had not been a half inch or more of precipitation, really speaking to those drought conditions, but the numbers actually line up very similarly, and we got pretty similar results. This event back in October, more of the extreme of the two, but within the general realm, we can look at those patterns, and I think that'll help us in the future better anticipate, hopefully, and predict these sort of things, and then we hope that we can prepare for them on the ground.
Firefighters, the North Dakota National Guard, and many others came together to battle the blazes. Along the way, remarkable footage of their efforts was captured. Take a look.
Recognizing not only the dryness that was going on, but the weather events that were coming in and how we were, unfortunately setting ourselves up for potential disaster, which is unfortunately, of course, what happened in this particular case. Speaking from some experience for myself, even though I was not involved with these fires, but being a firefighter in my personal time as well, the extreme nature of this, being able to try and do anything to stop these fires is basically impossible. So you're always looking for the next road, and you're hoping and praying that the winds go down, right? And so it's extreme nature of these fires that makes it a safety hazard for all the fire crews as well, and you do your best to try and stop them, but the flames are just moving so fast that you're really, really focused on protecting structures, protecting lives as best you can until you can sort of catch the fire. The topography certainly makes it a challenge for firefighting, and the firefighters, the professionals even, and all the volunteers, which we have many of across the state, deal with that problem when we get into this sort of terrain. We had that in the western part of the state where some of these fires are burning, right? And that really does make it difficult to get to the fire to get water on it. Ultimately, you need to get water on it or need to build a fire break. In a lot of these cases, they had to build fire line or fire breaks to try and slow down the fires or stop them because of, in part, the terrain and, of course, the wind on that October 5th day as well.
We were seeing 75-foot flame lengths with 60-mile-an-hour winds, so just too extreme to be close to the fire.
That's pretty hard to hear. My heart needed to do something more to help our community. I'm proud to be from this community, you know, and any little thing that happens, we come together a lot.
Extremely humbling to see what this community is doing to help us.
This is the best of America right here. This is where neighbors still help neighbors.
I know people come together and stuff like this in times of need, but it is shocking to see everybody.
Our fellow firefighters who dropped everything that they were doing on a Saturday to come help us save our town.
We will get these kind of conditions again someday, hopefully not anytime soon, but odds are that sometime over the next 50 years it's going to happen where we'll have these sort of weather conditions again, right? So an awareness of how you can take protective actions to maybe protect your property, raise awareness for those sorts of things is important going forward. We look at the meteorology of these conditions. We collaborate with fire management officials, fire officials within the state to try and detect things like this earlier so that we can have advanced warning, red flag warnings and things like that that maybe can help identify these. So we can learn from the unfortunate set of events that happened from this one to hopefully better prepare and better predict for the next one.